Good morning. Now that everybody is here, we can go ahead and begin with our meeting. Present, we have Miss Greenway. She is the Special Education Administrator for Peoria County. We also have Miss Van Dyke. She is the Special Education Classroom Emotional Disabilities Teacher. We have Miss Kramer. She is the student teacher in the Emotional Disabilities Special Education Classroom. We also have Miss Anderson, who is the school social worker, Miss Weigel, who is the school's special education speech language pathologist, Miss Michaels, the PE teacher, Mr. Kent, father to Amy, and we also have Amy. I hope she's listening. If not, that is okay because she's probably doing her work. So the reason why we are all here today is we are having an annual meeting for Amy's IEP. This happens every year just so we can discuss and ensure that Amy's needs are being met and we currently are upholding the best practices to fit her. I would like to remind everybody that this is an open discussion. We are all trying to do what is best for Amy. Please respect the other parties, listen to what they have to say, respect when they are speaking, and everything is going to go great. So we're going to go ahead and dive right in with the present levels of Amy. So cognitively, which is speaking of the brain, when we look at Amy's English language arts, mathematics, writing, science, and social studies. In reading, Amy has strong comprehensive skills. If a passage is read to her, she is able to accurately summarize and cite textual evidence. Amy struggles, however, with decoding. She frequently writes her letters and numbers backwards. Amy has expressed to her teachers that the words do look jumbled while she is trying to read. In mathematics, Amy is able to identify place value of numbers from ones place to hundred thousands place. This is something that we have been working on in math class, and she did fantastic with it. She can independently subtract with and without regrouping. At times, Amy uses touch math strategies or a number line to manipulate numbers. So those are just extra things that she will need in order to help her get correct answers. In science, Amy is able to identify parts and function of plant parts. Currently at this time, Amy is able to identify all 22 states within the Midwest and Western regions, which is fabulous. Out of the 22 that we have studied, she is able to name all 22. She is able to navigate her way through multiple electronic classroom portals. So we've been using Google Classroom, Google Meets, Edpuzzle, Desmos for math activities, and Amy has expressed no difficulties navigating those and working her way through the different areas. However, Amy is unable to open and send emails at this time. I currently have logged on to her profile for Google and have read hundreds of emails that are unopened, and when I asked her, she just clearly stated she doesn't know how to get to her email, and once it's open, how to reply to somebody. Physically, Amy's gross and fine motor abilities are age appropriate. In fall 2019, Amy did pass screening for her vision and hearing. 2020 screenings were not conducted due to COVID-19 and Amy being a virtual learner. Oral language and communication, Amy does experience delays in articulation and language. Social and emotional behavior, Amy can become very anxious when she does not know the answers to a task. She always wants to be perfect and have everything right, and when that does not happen, she will show anxiety levels. When Amy becomes overwhelmed, she tends to hit herself in the head with her fist or bang her head on her desk, or she will bite her arm. When these behaviors occur, Amy will vocalize that she feels her brain is dumb. Amy requires frequent reassurances from staff that she is working hard and correctly completing assignments. So even if she is doing fabulous on something, if she feels she is not doing great, she will begin to self-harm. So staff is needed in order to redirect her and assure her that she is doing fabulous on her work. Amy is a very smart and capable student. She follows routines and procedures independently. She is a remote learner this year due to COVID-19. Each time she conferences with staff over Google Meets, which is Mondays at 9 a.m. She appears happy and very engaged. Her behavior during academic tasks has not been able to be assessed because she is a virtual learner. Amy does complete her tasks daily. She does them daily. So she's always getting things done. Last semester alone, she only had 3 missing assignments, which is great. Before school closed in the spring, Amy behaviors had improved significantly. We had discussed potentially moving Amy out of an ED placement and into a instructional classroom, but just because of virtual learning and COVID, we decided to go ahead and put pause on that for now and revisit it once she is back in person. So just currently why Amy qualifies for IEP services. Her behavior and reading disabilities negatively impact her performance and educational tasks within a general education setting. Amy requires a highly structured small group setting to increase her positive behaviors throughout the school day. When Amy becomes frustrated with her assigned tasks, she quickly reverts to self-harm. Trained staff is needed in order to quickly intervene at these times. Amy also needs reading interventions and work at her level in order to improve her academic skills. She requires social work and speech services in a small group setting to meet her social, emotional, and communication needs. If we're looking at state and district assessments, those were unable to be completed last spring due to COVID-19 for the state. Let me rephrase that. So Amy was in the 3rd grade, and state assessments do not begin till 3rd grade. Due to school closures, she was unable to take the assessment. So the Illinois assessment of readiness is unconclusive because she did not take it. However, in January of 2020, Amy was assessed in the district using the NWEA MAP test. On this assessment, in the area of mathematics, Amy scored a 188. This placed her in the 28th percentile. This just means out of other 3rd graders her age, she did 27% better than the average. In the area of reading, Amy scored a 223, which scored her in the 96th percentile. So compared to all those other aged peers, she was very high. This was due to the test being read to her, but that is one of her testing accommodations, so that is appropriate. We're going to go ahead and look at Amy's least restrictive environment. Due to behaviors and reading needs, Amy is placed in an emotional disabilities classroom, which means that she is only with non-disabled peers for less than 40% of her day. This is just due to her high need for social, emotional, and reading assistance. She is with gen ed peers for specials such as music, PE, lunch, and recess. Looking at Amy's goals, she does have a goal for reading. Her goal for by the end of the year is when given a literacy or informational text at a 2nd grade level, Amy will independently read and answer 3 or more comprehension questions with correct capitalization, punctuation across 3 out of 5 trials by next October. Baseline was unable to be administered just because she is not here in classroom, and so we are hoping to get her there. Behaviorally, her goal is, given a school day, Amy will use coping appropriate strategies to manage her frustration and reduce the number of self-harm incidents to 0 per week for 8 out of 9 weeks. Again, this was unable to be assessed in person by the special education teacher because she is not in person. In the area of speech and language articulation, Amy's goal is by the end of the next annual review meeting, Amy will increase her production of initial R at the sentence level with a model with 80%. Currently, she is at 50%, and this was determined based on her Google Meet sessions with Mrs. Weigel. Social emotional, Amy will learn to identify and manage her emotions and behaviors. Again, this is unknown due to she is a remote learner and not here in person. If we look at the minutes and the services in which she is receiving, so Amy is receiving 1,800 minutes in person from her emotional disabilities classroom. This is for all her core subjects. That's just how many minutes are in a school week. This will be revisited at the next IEP annual review or just another meeting if Amy is able to come back for in-person and transition to an instructional classroom. For speech and language, she receives 60 minutes a month. Social work is 90 minutes a month in a small group setting, so within the classroom. Social work is also 60 minutes a month, and that is one-on-one with our social worker. In terms of support from school personnel, this would be our in-class paraprofessionals. Amy is receiving 1,800 minutes. That's just because there is trained staff in this classroom at all times. They assist with behaviors, providing lessons, and just standard class management throughout the day. Based on Amy's skills and areas of needs, it has been determined that she does not qualify for the extended school year program at this time. I would also like to note that when I am doing a IEP meeting, in order to cooperate and be collaborative with parents, I will always, and other stakeholders, I will always take notes while the others are talking, just so that they know I am engaged into what they are saying. I also am going to ask throughout if people have questions that I can answer at any point. If they don't have questions, I might ask them questions that could lead to other potential questions. I know people tend to be a little bit more shy and reserved, especially parents, when they've entered an IEP meeting, and I don't want them to leave with any unanswered questions. So kind of giving them that little bit of push that might make them, a light bulb go off and be like, oh wait, yeah, I did have a question about that, or a question might lead to another question, just so that everyone is on the same page and feels equally heard by the end of the IEP meeting.